Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we will discuss Sadharanikaran, the Indian science of aesthetics and intrapersonal communication. I hope this lecture will make the topic easy for you and help in enhancement of your understanding about this very idea. So let's start. So Dharanikaran is basically a state of emotional non-duality among the participants of a communication process. It's a process by which an emotional or intrapersonal commonality is created. It's a sort of emotional communion. Word Sadharanikaran is derived from the Sanskrit word Sadharan. It means common, simple, ordinary, widespread or universal. So let's interpret the word Sadharan. Sadharan is consisting of two expressions. One is Sa, another is Dharan. Sa represents Saman, the equal, the common, and Dharan here means to adopt or to percept. So therefore, Sadharan means the same perception or common perception. Therefore, Sadharanikaran can be understood as a process of making the same or common perception about anything amongst all the audiences. So in very essence, it's a qualitative dimension of communication. Yet it can be applied on the sharing of information, idea, opinion, experiences, etc. And this is not about sharing. It can also help us understand how that information, that idea, that opinion will be interpreted. If we talk about the spiritual terms, we can say that one state of being stimulates the same bhav and ras in another sahrida one. So they start living the same emotional state within. So it's the science of interplay between interpersonal and intrapersonal communication. Sadharanikaran is first mentioned in Natyasastra, which is believed to be created by Bharat Muni and dated back to the 5th century BCE. However, a number of experts, number of scholars think that this is not created by a single person, but multiple scholars contributed to it. And they believe that the compilation period spans around 1000 years. But since writing was not there popular in India in earlier time, so it was later discovered by Bhatt Nayak in 10th century AD. So Natya Shastra has many versions also, but the most studied version has around 6,000 poetic verses, which are compiled in 36 chapters. The term Sadharanikaran is used to describe the process and the state of perceptual communion amongst the audience with the performed character in context with a drama. Sadharanikaran has a much wider area of implication. The concept can be utilized for the better understanding and to alter the human behavior. It has tremendous scopes for implications, particularly in the field of education, learning, emotional well-being, and therapies, enhancing human communication abilities, conflict management, art, entertainment, literature, and many more of the area where this idea can be applied. Let us have a look at the process of Sadharanikaran with context to Natya or a drama. The first thing to understand in this process is Vibhav, because it's the Vibhav that starts the things happen. So what the Vibhav is? It's a stimulus. We might have read about the stimulus response model of communication. So Vibhav is basically a stimulus which starts a response within the mind of audience the person who receives that message, and that response of the audience, the person who's part of audience, is called bhav. That is the mood, and that is in response to the act displayed by an actor. So there are multiple bhavs, multiple moods come and go in the canvas of our mind, but very few stay for a while, and that sustained bhavs or moods create the ras within the mind of a person in audience. The ras, we can understand it, uh, for example, the hasya ras, the shringar ras. We might have observed it while watching movies. When comic situation comes, people all over the hall, all over the audience, they start enjoying, they start laughing, so they become another emotional entity which they were not a while back. So when the audience start relish that ras, enjoying that, immersed into that, being identical to particular state of mind, that is called rasaswadan. So Sadharanikaran happens when entire audience has emotional commonness, identical to the character played by an actor. So what the character displays, what sort of feelings, they may be of sad, they may be of sorrow, they may be of victory, they may be of anything, any sort of emotions. Audience start feeling the same thing. Most likely this Sadharanikaran happens at the climax, because the audience by that time becomes Saharde with the character played by the actor. So now we will discuss some terminologies that are part of this lecture. The one is Sadharanikaran, which we have just discussed. Another is Vibhav, Bhav, Ras, Sahriday, and Anubhav. So one by one we'll discuss the rest of this. Vibhav is anything, any object, any person, any idea, or anything which we perceive through any of our senses, maybe by seeing it, maybe by hearing it, or by touch or smell or any other means. Uh, it may be internal within us, a memory which may start another response, and it may be external to us, external to our body and mind, and it has a causal effect on a receiver or audience, and this cause evokes a response in human mind. So these vibhavs are of two types. One, alamban vibhav. It's the idea, object, or person whose interaction or exposure causes an emotional response within a person, and the person in whom that response is caused is called ashray. And another type is Uddipan Vibhav. It plays the role of a catalyst in the process of eliciting the and intensifying of the particular mood or bhav in response to Vibhav. Say, for example, if a person is passing through a solitude, a jungle, and then the sound created by the wind and some animals may add to the horrifying effect. So that sounds created by winds is a sort of uddipan vibhav. Bhav are the emotional response of an audience to a stimulus or vibhav. There are three types of bhav according to Natya Shastra. There are Sthai Bhav, there are Satvik Bhav, and there are Vyabhichari Bhav or transitory Bhav. So, Sthai Bhav or permanent moods are love, mirth, sorrow, anger, excitement, fear, disgust, and astonishment. हिंदी में हम कहेंगे तो रति, हास्य, शोक, क्रोध, उत्साह, भय, जुगुप्सा और विस्मय। सात्विक भाव हैं स्तंभ, which is a sort of paralysis, then प्रलय, रोमांच, श्वेत, वैवर्ण्य, विपातु, अश्रु और स्वरभेद। इसी तरह से ट्रांजिटरी जो मूड्स हैं, जो व्याभिचारी भाव हैं, वो हैं निर्वेद, ग्लानि, शंका, श्रम, दैन्य, उग्रता, तरस, चिंता, ईर्ष्या, स्मृति, अमर्ष, गौरव, मरण, मद, स्वप्न, निद्रा, विबोध, हर्ष, अपस्मार, मोह, मति, आलस्य, आवेग, तृक, वृद्ध, व्याधि, उन्माद, विषाद, उत्कंठा या उत्सुकता, धृति, प्रकृति गोपनी या इसे अवहित भी कहते हैं, जड़ता और चपलता। रस is the essence of bhav, or multiple bhavs may create one ras. So it is the end product, we can say, which can be called emotional flavor and is created by the relishable state of sthai bhav or permanent mood. The audience who is sahridaya towards a character displayed by an actor on the stage enter into the realm of a particular ras and start relishing it. To become sahridaya, one needs to identify oneself with the character. Then the alchemy takes over and sway the audience in the world of emotions that is created by multiple verbal and non-verbal clues that we can say are all vibhav. The ras are created by the bhavs. We can say that a particular ras is a complex combination of one or more bhav. Indian art forms have meticulously used this idea of ras and their rasayan to impress the audience. It is widely implicated by the literature, visual and performing arts, music, dance, theatre, and many more. To have a better understanding of what the ras are, let's have a look into the examples of various ras. So the Sringar ras is there, Hasya ras, Raudra ras, Karuna, Vibhats, Bhayanak, Veera ras, Adbhut ras, Shant ras, Vatsalya and Bhakti ras. These three were added to the list later by different scholars. So they were not the earlier or the basic list of ras which found mention in Natya Shastra. So each of these ras has a color attribution and presiding deity also. Sahridaya is also a very important concept in the process of Sadharanikaran. So word Sahridaya consists of two expressions, the Sa and Hridaya. The word Sa means saman or equal or common or harmonious. On the other hand, the Hridaya is generally referred to as heart, but it's in real terms it's emotional center of emotions. It's not that physical organ that pumps the blood in a body. So two persons are sahridaya when they are empathetic and considerate towards each other. In other words, a sahridaya is a person in state of emotional harmony with other whom he is sahridaya with. So being sahridaya of the source and her or his audience is a precondition for the Sadharanikaran to happen. Otherwise, Sadharanikaran would not happen. The concept of Sadharanikaran also has mention of Anubhav. Uh, Anubhav is consisting of two expressions. One is Anu, which means the one which follows something. The other is Bhav, which represents the Bhav. So whatever follows a mood is Anubhav. It is what remains after a mood passed through. So it's a sort of memory of bhav or mood when it is passed from our mind. So anubhav also works as vibhav in the process of communication or Sadharanikaran. So it catalyzes the process of bhav or formation of ras, and it works as uddipan vibhav, and it elicits certain feelings like of love and hatred and anger, sorrow, etc. So in due course of time, we tend to assimilate our anubhavs, our experiences within our idea of self, and then that self also defines our experiences. Sadharanikaran is basically a qualitative approach to the communication. It describes the deep process, the complex process of intrapersonal communication with such detailing that is not found in anywhere else till now. Although it refers to the context of drama and describes the emotional aspects of the intrapersonal communication, its focus is on emotional aspects of uh, communication, basically, with respect to the drama. But it cannot be limited to the emotional aspects only. It can be used to the cognitive aspects of intrapersonal communication as well. It helps us in understanding of the human communication, and it also helps us to devise way to enhance the communication abilities, capabilities of human beings. So this is all for this lecture, friends. If you find it helpful, please press like button and subscribe for the notification of any new resources. Thank you.